is Black money?
About economic liberation and
Mm.
freedom.
Critical conversations to invigorate our communities through Black-led CDFIs.
But most importantly, we want people to create wealth.
When we look at our communities, we still see a big disinvestment.
Going from resourceful to resource.
CDFIs have that high touch. They understand their customers. They know how to reach out to those customers. They stay in touch with those customers.
We are trying to create job makers and not just job takers.
I've even heard it said recently that great leaders don't lead from the top down, they lead from the bottom up because they're actually lifting everybody.
We have to do more than just being a regular lender.
Don't give me this story about if I teach you how to fish. Give me some money.
Yes. What's going on, everybody? Justin Minott here from the African American Alliance of CDFI CEOs, joined by the great, the magnanimous, the wonderful CEO of Growth Partners Arizona, Andre Whittington. Everyone give him a hand, please. Give yourself a hand. It's beautiful. Good to have you here, Andre.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Of course. Now, who is Andre Whittington? Like, this is what everybody is here on the edge of their seat. They want to know, what are you about? What is the thing that just makes you, move? What makes you tick? Give us the essence.
Oh man. Wow. Start with a deep question first.
Hey, look, man, we're not swimming in the shallow end.
Well, I think for the most part, I'm a pretty, I would say, complex guy, right? But still straight to the point. My upbringing and the person who I am was really defined, by just my life, right? And what I've gone through and what I've experienced over the years. I would say I am a veteran, right? I served a few years in the Army infantry. I am a lover of all things construction. After I left the military, I did construction work for a while. Fun fact, I did underground water mains, sewer lines, and fire hydrants. I used to install those before they actually built homes on top of the roads. Um, I am a college dropout, right? I spent some time in
Congratulations.
college. Yes. I was dabbling in public health for a while, and I actually taught an undergrad class at Brown University in Rhode Island on the health in the island of Hispaniola, right? Haiti and the Dominican Republic. I am an ex-researcher, did some presentation at Eli Lilly on gestational diabetes in American Samoan women. From there, I said, you know what? I don't want to do this college thing. I will never get rich doing research. So I'm also a corporate refugee, right? I spent some time working for Comcast, walked away from my corporate career at the height of it, and I became a business owner. So I'm an entrepreneur, right? I started my own consulting business, and my passion was to really help small businesses and minority-led nonprofits really grow and scale and apply the things that I learned on the corporate side into their business. But I kept continuing to run into the same issue of capital readiness, right? You could do everything that you want for these small businesses and nonprofits, but there was always an issue on capital readiness. They're not ready for the capital right now. And so I'm a risk taker. So I said, I want to get on the other side of this capital thing and focus on capital deployment. And so I stepped into the role at Grow Partners Arizona. And so my life it's ebbed and flowed, but through it all, I've always lived by the mantra of taking the risk of losing the chance, right? And not allowing people to tell me no or to close the door. And so I've been extremely aggressive and chasing after my goals and the things that I wanted to do. And so when people ask me who I am, it's really hard to say, yeah, this is who I am, because I'm like a quilt that your grandmother have made, right? With all of these different pieces that you putting together and placed together. And so
Yes.
that made me who I am. And of course, I was heavily shaped by the things that I saw that happened in Katrina, because I'm from New Orleans, a New Orleans native. And heart goes out to the communities in Florida that's going to be impacted by this potential hurricane soon. But Katrina really taught me a lot about what it means to be Black in America, and how it is important for us to work together, to build together, and to really figure out how do we become more innovative in this space around economic development. So all of those things shape me for who I am, and so that's who you all see before you today.
I love it. With this, you see everyone look at how crispy that is. That lines, everything, the goatee. I think he did it just for the show. So I appreciate that, Andre. I feel loved. I feel respected. You did it. I want to give a shout out to the people joining us live. I see Isis here as well. Isis, one of my colleagues at the Alliance. Good afternoon to you. Who else is here? Drop your name, drop your organization, and keep the questions flowing. Keep the comments, the amens, all this type of stuff, because this man, and actually you should probably get a bag ready because Andre is going to be dropping gems. Get your bag, put them in there. Come on. That's the first time I use it. What do you think?
I like it.
Okay. All right. We'll keep it. We'll keep it. And now for this passion, like I hear it in your voice. I see how you approach your work and the passion that you carry at Growth Partners Arizona. What fuels you? What is this? Like, I know a lot of what shaped you, but like, what is that fire inside of you that we get to witness?
I think the thing that fuels me the most is, I would say, my upbringing. Right. I grew up in the Lower Ninth Ward in New Orleans, Louisiana, poor area. Right. And seeing my mom, my dad, my family really struggle to build and to become more than what they are, and the opportunities that I didn't know exist. Right. And so I went to the military because that was the only avenue that I knew.
Sure.
I was a straight A student growing up, but college wasn't an option for me. I didn't really see it. I had a sister that went, but I never really saw like that for me. And then when I started to go to like these Ivy Leagues, right, undergrad, and you hear kids crying about their allowance, or I remember vividly sitting at a table and a young lady was upset because her dad bought her a boat for her birthday.
Oh,
what the heck? So for me being being on both sides of that, it really is driven me, because a lot of times, we don't get to see access. We don't get to see opportunity. We don't get to see those things. And I think that being someone who has been on both sides, I am really driven and passionate about helping other people fulfill their dreams. I'm going to believe in you if you don't believe in yourself. I'm going to help you get to that point where you want to be, because I know that you deserve to be there. And then I also know that we all deserve opportunity. I think that everyone has greatness in them. It just takes the right person to believe in them to support their dreams. And I think at Grow Partners, we're so privileged. I mean, we're so fortunate to be in this position to be able to invest in someone else's dream, to be able to invest in someone else's vision for their business, for their community.
Yes.
And I think that's what drives me, right? It's from a loan of $15,000 or a pitch competition, and I'm awarding someone $1,000 to put into their business. Those small things are really what drives me and what matters to me. Being able to see a small business owner come talk to me or talk to my team, and we're just there just to listen as an ear, and then they come up with the idea on their own. They just needed someone to talk to. So I think those small connections are what drive me, that keeps me going, and why I do the work that I'm doing today. Yeah.
Brilliant. Now, you did say that you were somebody who's passionate about construction, and I see you still building. Like, you are building people's dreams. You're still building people's businesses. I think that's beautiful. Talk about Growth Partners Arizona. Give us a scope of what this organization does, bit of history. Give us that.
Yeah. So I'll start with, so Growth Partners Arizona has been around. They started out as the nonprofit loan fund by some of our community founders in Southern Arizona, who had a passion and a vision to help out nonprofits, right? Because we know nonprofits sometimes grant cycles, they need some cash flow support. They would invest the capital to support them. They became a CDFI in 2018, and they have very aspirational goals. But I would say it was like a typical emerging CDFI, right? You had aspirational goals, but your business model was a little challenging and outdated. And so when I came in and I stepped into the role, granted, I've never been in the role around finance, never worked in the CDFI space.
Sure.
I was coming with a pure entrepreneurial lens.
Right. So pause. Hold on. How did you get there? I need to know, because I'm walking through in my head. Okay, it's construction and some public, health, and okay. So what Give us that, because this is awesome. You are the right man for the job. How'd you get here?
So I was a small business mentor for SBA for the state of Arizona and New Mexico. And there was a young man. I was mentoring him with his business, and he told me about Growth Partners Arizona, that they were looking for an executive director. And so I looked it up, and I said, "Whoa!" So I could be on the other side, like I always wanted, which is capital deployment. So I said, because I know that on paper I'm not going to measure up. I said I have one shot to really blow the minds of the board of directors and those that are interviewing me.
I hope y'all are listening. I feel it. I feel it. This is good.
I'm a strategic guy. I'm, corporate guy, business owner, consultant. I created a 12-year strategic roadmap for the organization. And in my, interview and in my presentation, and it was polished, it was clean, it was branded. Most people will say I'm not doing all of that work because I'm not being paid, so I'm not going to give you work for free. I didn't care because I knew it wasn't about me, it was about the community. And so that's really how I got it. I think that I just went in and I impressed them. I blew their socks off, right? I mean, here's this kind of young guy, right, with a very seasoned board of directors that are heavy on the financial side, bankers and everything. And so what I wanted to do was paint a vision of what could be, because I knew that the organization was looking for that, right? I had done my research. And so I painted this big picture. And then in my first 6 months in my role, my loan manager, I lost my loan manager. I scrapped the entire loan application process. I brought in all of this loan technology, software. We became a lot more innovative. We didn't close a loan for about 7 months. Board was frustrated. We wasn't doing what we were supposed to do. I was focused on us becoming a more technology-enabled organization because I knew where I wanted us to go. And my mantra has always been, whenever I'm stepping into a new role, especially like this, is to go slow so that I can go fast. And so my going slow is building a foundation, putting things in place. Fast forward 22 months into my role, we have deployed this year in the last 12 months about 1.8 million. That first year we deployed 500,000. So
Come on.
we deployed about 1.8 million.
Come
we
on.
invested another 250,000 into small businesses in the community.
Yeah.
Our total asset size has grown by nearly 60%. We have now offices in Tucson, Phoenix, and Flagstaff. So we are truly a statewide CDFI now. We are bringing in more technology, more innovation into the state. When I stepped into the role, didn't have a huge presence in Arizona myself. A lot of my work was on the East Coast.
Yeah.
I was appointed by Governor Hobbs to the Arizona Finance Authority, the Arizona IDA, and the Greater Arizona Finance Authority. And those are the highest finance authorities in the state. So it's really, about how do we move the needle forward for our underserved communities. And so we're doing the work now, but I will say, I'm not going to lie, those first 6-7 months were tough. But organizations like yours, OFN, the training and the resources and the networks that you all provide are really what helped me. I would say I was on that community of practice with OFN for the first 3 months religiously, looking at documents from 2019 and 2009, just reading and learning because I knew
to take it all in.
It was, I needed to, because I wasn't used to this industry where now I am, but before, So those 6 months were tough.
Wow. So now talk about, you have this board that brought you on, got excited about you, right? But then the first 7 months of y'all's relationship was a tough one, sounds like, because you're trying to drive these innovations. They're not seeing immediate results. Talk about how to lead in a time like that, where you have a vision and you're sticking to your guns on what you know needs to be built, right? Go slow so you can go fast. But that's hard to convince a lot of people. So how did you lead during that? What was that like?
So 2 things. Three things. One, you have to have a really good board chair, right? So my board chair and I, we used to have a lot of conversations, and they're in the middle. So they're getting it from the board, they're getting it from you. And so I understood what they wanted and what they were looking for. And what I wanted was just trust and patience. But I was very intentional in sharing where we were going, right? That was one. I think 2 is bring your board along with you. right? I think one of the things that I wanted us to do was become more intentional and equitable in our underwriting and changing some of our practices. And so instead of jumping out and taking risk, we would partner more, right? We would partner with other organizations. I knew we needed to do more like character-based lending and alternative lending. So I got the board's approval to invest $100,000 into a character-based program that another organization was doing, so that it kind of reduced our risk while we continued to focus on what we wanted to focus on. Got the team educated so that we could understand what this equitable underwriting means through with CAP EQ and PAth 1555. And then that third piece and that third pillar was, I mean, I'm gonna be PG here, but like forget what everybody's thinking about.
Okay,
Stick
yeah,
to stick
that's
to
good.
your
I
guns.
filled it in the blanks in my
Yeah,
head.
like stick to your guns. You know what's going to get your organization to where it needs to be. Deal with the frustrations and the bad comments and the bad feedback. Deal with it. Stick to your guns and stay true to it. And I think that's one of the things about me. I have an unwavering commitment to my goals and my vision, because I know it's going to get there. And
Right.
so once we got to that point, I made sure that the entire organization felt as if it was all of us, that put this into place, and that it was all of our journey and all of our focus and our vision. It was never about me. And so I think those three things was really how we were able to accomplish what we were able to accomplish. And I was always transparent with my board, right? If I wasn't comfortable, I didn't know something, I didn't go and acting like I did. I let them know we need to get educated on this, or we need to do that. This is what the community is saying about the organization, and we have to change that. And I think that's what helped us get to where we are today.
So now you talked about implementing some more of this equitable underwriting. Talk about what that really means in practice and what you've been able to accomplish in terms of the metrics on the other side. Loans deployed, what does that look like in the communities you serve?
So that's a very intentional journey, when you think about equitable underwriting, because sometimes it's not about turning the organization, upside down or right side up. It's really about how do you take these incremental steps so that you are continuing to serve your mission, but also be, fiscally responsible and good stewards of your investment dollars. And then thinking, if we are to bring in some of these more challenging or alternative type of loan programs, and challenging from a perspective of it just takes a lot of relationship building. So for us, instead of us being the know all and be all and do all, like a lot of organizations that I see, they want to do everything. We became a lean organization. We focused on what we do well, and focused on making that what we do great, and then identified organizations that can do good what we couldn't, right? And so for us, that meant we just need to be a capital partner. We need to be someone who's deploying capital, someone who is taking on the right appropriate risk tolerance for our investors, and then someone that's investing innovatively into small businesses through alternative lending. But we can't do that if we're focused on business development, resumes or business plans and all of these things. And so we really became very lean as an organization. And then all of those other pieces that I knew would make these businesses impactful, we partner with organizations that provide that. And so our job was to be able to underwrite equitably. We had to make sure that we were getting the right type of small businesses that were coming to us, right? Typically, CDFIs, we will partner with banks, right? And banks will send us small businesses. I love banks, but I don't want them to send us their business. I want businesses that have gone through incubators, accelerators, business owners that have actually invested their time and energy in learning and honing in on their craft. When they graduate, there's some capital on the other side of that. And that's how I like to deploy funding. And so for us, that's really what helped us out. And then partnering with like CAP EQ, PAth 1555, those organizations brought us through a cohort so that we could learn, and just educating ourselves on what does it mean to change policy and underwriting processes to become more equitable, and how do we apply the right lens through some of our requirements that says, okay, they may be outside of the box here, but after that conversation, we know that we could deploy the capital because they have a strong relationship with a partner. And so that's really what has helped us and how we've been able to deploy the capital as quickly as we've been able to these last 12 months.
That's incredible. Now, talk about the scene in Arizona. I'm not as familiar with Arizona. What's the financial landscape like?
It is tough. It's tough. I mean, we have several counties in northern Arizona that doesn't even have a bank, a financial institution there, right?
Wow.
Arizona is really a financial desert.
Wow.
I think the CDFI of America, one of those organizations, they have a map on like the deserts. Arizona is one of them. We have some communities that have small banks, but they don't lend to small businesses, right? So it is very tough. I think that prior to Grow Partners stepping in, and we are not doing everything, there's a lot more that we can do and that we need to do. But microloans, I mean, securing 50,000 was a challenge, right? Most of the loan requirements here they required collateral like a home. And there are a lot of small business owners who $50,000 they may not have a home. A lot of their homes are passed down, right? We know that it's everywhere, and so those opportunities were not there. The state, Governor Hobbs and her team, they realized that, and the state just put out a $5 million grant to really help organizations invest into micro enterprises. So the landscape is tough. It's getting a lot better. But I will say that there are communities out there, man, where small businesses cannot secure funding. I would say 40 to 45% of the loans that we were doing when I first stepped in were to restructure more expensive debt. We had small business owners paying $15,000 a month in small business loans, which is ridiculous. I mean, it's impressive that they can pay that, but that's crippling their business. We've had businesses where they went into bankrupt, right? Because they were taking all of these different loans and it was hurting them, and so that's the landscape that we have now. But I will say we are doing a lot of things to make it better for small businesses, but we do have a long way to go.
Wow. So what does it take now to move that forward? Like, what's Growth Partners Arizona looking at future-wise?
Oh, man. So, and that's part of that go slow to go fast. So I know in my mind, I'm a visionary. And so I knew we needed to build the ecosystem in order for me to really be able to work with my board and my team to bring to fruition of what I really want to do in Arizona. And so the first thing is we had to have a more collaborative ecosystem. And that collaboration had to go from Southern Arizona to Northern Arizona. And you needed a conduit in the middle to kind of help with that. So that's where Grow Partners Arizona came in, right? So scaling down, focusing on our true role as a CDFI, and then having partnerships throughout the state. That was one. And so we partner and we lend through that ecosystem to make sure that from $1,000 up to 150, 200, 300,000, we could deploy capital. The other piece was I'm working with Prestamos, Raza, Hustle Phoenix, Raza Development Fund, Prestamos CDFI, Hustle Phoenix CDFI, Clearinghouse CDFI here in Arizona, and Native Capital to create a CDFI network, almost like a CDFI coalition. We just didn't like the word coalition.
Right.
And so from that network, what we're looking to do is establish the framework where we can advocate collaboratively on behalf of the state to talk to our policymakers, talk to big banks and financial institutions who are sometimes hesitant to invest large amounts into the state of Arizona, but really talk about collaboratively, what are we able to do as a CDFI network? So that's one of the things that we're working on. So building that ecosystem, having that CDFI network of all of the CDFI lenders and everything. And then the last piece is the technology. And so we're working on right now through this a platform in an organization called Hub, HUUB. And they have a platform that provides technical assistance to small businesses throughout Central and Southern Arizona, and have a network of TA providers that are in the platform. So what we want to do is connect a access to capital arm to that. And so the goal is going to be small businesses that come through the platform. They will take a capital readiness assessment. The assessment is very sophisticated. It's a true entrepreneurial capital readiness competency model. across the 5 C's of credit. And so when they take that based on their output, it'll serve up, here are the loan programs in Arizona that you qualify for. And so we're going to pilot at our CDFI, but the goal is to have all of our CDFIs and loan funds a part of this, so that whenever that small business owner is denied by a bank, they can come to this website, do the capital readiness assessment. It'll serve up the type of loan programs that they are qualified for, connect them directly to that lender, and then get the capital deployed. If they don't qualify, there are a network of TA providers, incubators, and programs that's in Hub that we could refer them to. And there's data on the back end to track all of that. And so the goal is to have this ecosystem that expands from, southern to northern Arizona, all of the key players and lenders, so that we can also advocate on behalf of these small businesses to get funding and to get money. And then the capital deployment piece that can deploy through the platform. And my vision is that we will be able to deploy a loan, within 24, 36 hours as a CDFI through that platform. That's what I want us to build towards. So that's like the pie in the sky vision.
Yeah.
We're slowly building towards it, and we're putting the steps in place. And so that's really what I'm very excited about here in Arizona. Yeah.
That's so needed. That is so needed. So now we're sitting here in Hispanic Heritage Month. I want to talk about this because Arizona has a big Hispanic population. Talk about what that looks like, what these partners on the ground are even doing in that space, and what Growth Partners Arizona is doing in that space.
Yes. So, we have two amazing Hispanic and Latino-led CDFIs in Arizona, Raza Development Fund, and then Prestamo CDFI, which is a part of Chicanos por la Casa. And they're both amazing because they're working with organizations like ours, because, they are huge, right? Big banks, big asset size, very knowledgeable leaders. And we've been working very, very closely with them, because one of the things that I shared was, while Grow Partners is a Black-led, CDFI, we still have to serve the community and the needs of our underserved communities. And part of that CDFI network is to understand, what is the cultural competency requirements of working with the Black community, the Hispanic community, the Native and Indigenous community, when you have leaders of these organizations that don't represent that. And so that's part of what we're looking to solve with the CDFI network. And when we think about our Hispanic and Latino communities, Prestamos and Raza are really big CDFIs. I don't really, they do some micro lending, but I see Grow Partners as that organization that can be the gap between a $1,000 loan up to maybe a $250,000 loan. The larger CDFIs, you continue to focus on those bigger loans, because I don't want us to get to that point, but they can help educate us and connect us to the communities that need that funding. And so they introduced me to NALCAP, right? And so we're working with them, the National Association.
Partners of ours too. We love them.
Yes. So we're working with them to really understand the true needs of the Hispanic and Latino community. And then we're also making sure that all of our underwriting and our programming is in Spanish and English. And then we're now in conversations to get a really good understanding of our border communities, because there are communities that are on the border, right, that are Spanish speaking first, that maybe our larger CDFIs can reach, but they don't have the capacity to really get down into the weeds like Grow Partners does. And so how can we partner as an affiliate to do some of that work and partner within the community? And so I think for us, as I'm thinking about the work that we're doing, I'm looking at this as, I really want Grow Partners Arizona to be an organization that when you look at it, you can say, wow, they are definitely serving the underserved communities, right? And it is a very blended impact. It's a very blended model. And it's not, one size fits all, because I'm afraid, what I get afraid of is, because it's a Black-led organization, I don't want us to get siloed, right? African Americans in Arizona is about 5% of the population. So it's not that huge, but at the same time, there's a need. And so what I want to do is to make sure that there are systems in place so that when the time is right for Andre to transition to somewhere else, a new role.
Right, which who knows what Andre is going to do next. This guy's done it all.
But the foundation is there. The foundation is there. It's embedded into everything that we do, from our target market, right? So we changed our target market as a CDFI. It was just underserved communities. We now specify Hispanic, women-owned businesses, African American-owned businesses, and eventually Native American-owned businesses, because we want to make sure that we're serving the community based on their needs. So I would say that's really, you know, how we're looking to serve, especially in Hispanic Heritage Month. We have so many amazing success stories across all demographics. And I'll share one in the spirit of this month. You know, we
Yeah,
have a
please.
program called Kiva. So Kiva is Kiva is a crowdfunding platform, and it's one that we use for small businesses who have an idea and they're trying to get their idea off the ground, or they're just getting started. We were able to successfully help and support an entire family through our Kiva program and our microloan program. So the daughter, she got a Kiva loan first. She saw how good it was and how to help their business. She was scaling. She needed some more funding. We provided a microloan. She moved into a brick and mortar. Her sister saw that, got her a Kiva loan. She's doing well. Her mom and her sister have a business together. Then her father, who was struggling to find work, he always wanted to start a restaurant. He was able to get a Kiva loan. He had his food truck, started his food truck, and he's expanding. And so that's a generation of family that has been able to dream and envision and grow because one person in her family, right, that daughter really took a shot and took a chance to pursue her dream, but she was able to share that experience with her family, and they are crushing it right now. And we have a lot of, you know, stories like that where small businesses, Latino, Hispanic, have started with a Kiva loan, and now they've moved up to some of our larger loan programs and products. So it's doing amazing work, you know, and it just really takes some intentionality behind what you do in building those relationships in the community.
That is beautiful. That's beautiful. So inspiring. Now, microloans. Okay.
Yeah.
I've had a few guests on the show recently, and a lot of discussions around this in this space. How are you winning at micro lending? Because that space is not easy to figure out, right? So for the benefit of everybody, you're doing a great job here. What does that look like for you? How are you winning at this? What are some of the things that actually make that sustainable, scalable, and to have the impact that you're trying to have?
Oh man, it goes back to the partnerships. I think a lot of times with the microloan space, they always say, what you always hear is it's the same price to do a microloan as it is to do $100,000 loan. Who cares about the price? What about the impact, right? And focus on the true need. I think, not to talk bad about anybody, right? But my perspective and how I look at it is, it would be lazy of me to say I'm only going to focus on some of these bigger loans because of the return that I can get, when the same amount of time that it takes to underwrite a microloan is the same for a larger loan. And I know I'm not doing the underwriting, but I work very closely with my team. And so what we've been able to do is identify what technology is out there to help us streamline this microlending underwriting. Are there some automations that we could put into place, right, to help with that? But I would say just the relationships. A lot of our microloans that we've been able to do this year have come by way of our partners referring those small businesses into us. And when you get that referral, if you partner with your partners and educate them on, here are our underwriting guidelines and our criteria for a microloan. If the business comes to us and they have these ducks in a row, 95% of the time we're going to deploy that funding to them.
Wow.
And I would say we're probably batting about 98% for the businesses that have been referred to us, and we've been able to do the loan on the microloans side, right? And then we have a program, our green loan fund, so we have a green lending program. Businesses have gone through a green boot camp, sustainable boot camp, to identify a green project in their business and the cost savings.
Partner.
Yeah, The partner does all of that, the education. They help them create their project plan. We see the savings, and we know whatever loan we deploy, the savings that they're going to make, they can pay the loan off. And when they come to us, they have the project in place, we can deploy the funding. Our BIPOC loan fund, in partnership with another partner, right, is for BIPOC small businesses. They can borrow up to $10,000, no interest, no fees, nothing. Our partner is doing a lot of that heavy lifting. We're coming in and providing the capital and deploying that to those small businesses. Our traditional, microloan programs, same thing. partners are educating and helping those businesses get up to speed. When they come to us, we're deploying the capital, right? And so that's really what's been helping us. And I would say, as we move into 2025, one of the things that we're implementing now is our true customer experience model, so that now small businesses are not just going to hear from us like if there's a challenge or like a newsletter or whatever. We're going to have a three-touch point with all of our current borrowers that we're going to roll out next year. So all of our borrowers throughout the year is going to get touched 3 times: a phone call, a postcard, and a visit. And all of those will be not checking in like, hey, how's your loan? Or no, we won't even talk about your loan. All of those touch points are really going to be to show appreciation. So when we call, we have a thing a little list that I want the team to cover, and I'm going to be making these calls as well. And it's really checking in. How are you doing? Checking in on you as a small business owner. Any resources that we could connect you to? Do you need any assistance or whatever it is, and find the solutions for them. The site visit is really to show respect, right? And actually visit, their building or their work. And so we're rolling that out next year so that we could really get into the weeds with our borrowers, so they know when you are lending to microloans and micro lenders, you got to have that relationship piece, and it has to be very, very intentional. And so I think that'll help other organizations be successful, and I know it'll help us kind of be successful.
Right. And so I'm hearing that relational piece and the tech and the partnerships, right? Because that's massive, and I think that infrastructure makes a lot of sense for that. All right. So, and then your new tech solution that you're rolling out here, you were talking about how some of that combats predatory lending in the pre-show. So talk about how that actually works and what that's seen, because that's another big piece that I'm hearing a lot about, is people getting taken advantage of with just ridiculous predatory lending. So talk about what you're doing about that.
So, your fintech organizations is just so, they got the money to do it too, but they're like so ahead. And how do you combat that is you have to meet your small business owners where they are. And so in my mind, I said, okay, we want to combat with this fast paced, fintech organization, we have to replicate what they look like. They're very tech driven, right? And it's quick. And so, but they don't have what CDFIs have. What CDFIs have is that relationship piece. It's the partnership piece, the credibility and the trust. So that technology is to combine both of those. You combine the trust, the credibility, and the relationships with the technology and the fast pace, and you package that and you put it into one tool. But it's driven by your community partners and those who you trust. And that's the goal of that technology solution. But it's also adding in that education piece, right? Small business owners love new, they love fresh, they love innovation, right? If you tell a small business owner, hey, take this PDF, fill out all of your information and give it back to me, and we'll call you about a loan, they're not going to come talk to you. But if you're providing them with all of these resources, and even when you say no, it's not a no, it's okay, you're ready, you're almost there. We're going to partner you with this organization. We're going to do these different things, but you have a clear pathway to come back to secure funding, right? That's really what that tool is going to do. It'll combine what we do well as CDFIs with our fintech organizations do well, and then package that up for our community.
Yeah. Beautiful. Beautiful. All right. So we got 2 more questions for you, unless there's some that come from the chat. Anybody, you got the brilliant Andre Whittington here. So make sure you take advantage of this opportunity while he has his haircut fresh. All right. What does Black liberation mean to you?
Oh man, this one isn't easy for me. I think Black liberation for me continues to evolve. It's not a one, stamp in the mud. I think part of Black liberation requires us to educate ourselves on things that happened in the past, right? There's a really, really good book, The Color of Law, that I've been reading. And it really talks about the historical impact that financial decisions and financial organizations and economic development departments and housing and lending and banking have had on the Black community. And so for me, when I think about Black liberation, it's about continuing to educate myself on the importance of being intentionally aware in the seat that I sit in, understanding that to liberate one does not mean to put the other down, right? How do we embrace the idea around collective prosperity, right? How do we embrace what it means in our Blackness without worrying about making others feel inferior to who we are, or worried about, you are getting now too Black, which is no such thing. So for me, when I think about Black liberation, it's really about being intentionally Black. Intentionally Black in every capacity that I sit, every board I serve on, every community that I step my foot into, and understanding that there is it's not a burden, but there's a requirement, that there's a responsibility that we hold as Black leaders within our communities that we can't take lightly, right? That we have to make sure that we are shouldering that responsibility with intention. I think that a lot of times we have some Black leaders who may feel as though if you get it, I won't. That's not, Black liberation. Black liberation is go get it. Go get it and keep getting it so that other people will come behind you and get it too. And so that's how I approach it. That's how I see it. But again, it starts with educating yourself, removing this idea of self and ego from it. And as my mom always told me, it's bigger than you, Andre. It's not about you. It's bigger than you. And so I think if you embrace those things, you will walk in every space with your Blackness, wearing it with intention, and no one will feel any kind of way when you walk into a room. They'll just respect the perspective and the space that you're coming from. Yeah.
I told you, get your bags ready. Andre's coming with the gems, the gold nuggets, anything else. You throw them in there. This is beautiful. This is beautiful. Thank you. All right, so we're wrapping up the conversation here. Last question that I really have for you. What is a song that you're jamming to right now? What is that one? Is there one that's sticking out? Do you have time to listen to music, as a busy CEO?
Of course. Yes, indeed.
Okay, good. What you got?
I love music, man. So I think the song I'm bumping right now, Larry's recent album. So I listen to Larry June all the time. Hey. Let's see, Napa, the one about Napa. I listen to that one. But yeah, I mean, anything Larry June, I'm bumping all day long. That's my guy, man. Yeah.
Oh, that's great. That's great. Oh, man. Well, thank you for being who you are and for all the brilliant work you're doing. Thanks for the wisdom that you shared today. Really appreciate you. And I want to give a quick thank you to everybody who joined us on this interview. I see y'all, Isis and Lania and Marvin, Ron Brooks, Daryl, Tiffany, Sharella, John. Love seeing the action in the chat. And for all of you tuning in, thank you for that. Andre, any closing words for the good people? Because you're just this ball of inspiration. What you got?
Oh, nothing. I mean, just keep doing what you all are doing. I think I just want to say thank you all for taking your time out of the day to join. I don't take it lightly that you all spent the last 45 minutes listening to me ramble. So I just want to say thank you all for your time. I really appreciate it. And let's just continue to do good work. Our people need us. The community needs us. So let's just continue to show up.
Have to continue to show up. That's what we're going to end on. Mic drop.
That's it. All right.
Is Black money.
About economic liberation and freedom.
Critical conversations to invigorate our communities through Black-led CDFIs.
But most importantly, we want people to create wealth.
When we look at our communities, we still see a big disinvestment.
Going from resourceful to resourced.
CDFIs have that high touch. They understand their customers. They know how to reach out to those customers. They stay in touch with those customers.
We are trying to create job makers and not just job takers.
Yeah, I've even heard it said recently that great leaders don't lead from the top down, they lead from the bottom up because they're actually lifting everybody.
We have to do more than just being a regular lender.
Don't give me this story about if I teach you how to fish,